In 2014, Jimmy Walker won the Sony Open in Hawaii by 1 shot over Chris Kirk. He then followed that up in 2015 with a 9-shot victory to pick up the 4th of his 6 career PGA Tour titles. But last season was a struggle for Jimmy, battling health problems, recording only 1 top 10 and 21 starts. Let's go back to Todd Lewis with more.
Well, Lisa, Jimmy Walker won the Sony Open in Hawaii in 2014 and 2015, but 2016 was his banner year, winning the PGA Championship and making the United States Ryder Cup team that went on to victory at Hazeltine. But in 2017, a different story. Just 1 top 10 on the PGA Tour, mostly because he suffered from Lyme disease. Well, recently, Jimmy's wife, Erin, revealed that she too has Lyme disease, which has been an emotional weight on Jimmy.
Kind of a hard thing to swallow, especially since she watched me kind of go through it and still going through it, and now she understands. I think it's different for everybody. Everybody's symptoms are different, and she's got her own set of things that she's dealing with, and it's tough. It's not fun.
Where's your health right now in regards to Lyme disease?
It's hard to say. Like, physically, I feel really, really good. Being out and working out and practicing is not, it shouldn't be, I don't think, an issue anymore. But there's a lot of other stuff that goes along with Lyme disease that we're still trying to kick, and I'm not out of the woods yet. So I'm real optimistic on just feeling good and being able to come out and stand here and talk to you and not get that dragged down feeling and just I want to sit down. I don't have that really anymore. I'll get it at night a little bit, but I'm excited to come back out and play. Kind of play my way back into form a little bit. I mean, I've been home for 4 months getting ready for this. Not crazy hardcore or anything, just kind of enjoying my time at home. I've been trying to use this as a great opportunity to be at home and take my kids to school, and I got into a little routine, and it was pretty nice. And this is probably the hardest it's been to leave home in a while, because it's been a while.
Jimmy described his Lyme disease symptoms as having severe flu physically, while also having memory lapses and interference between the mind and body. Now his symptoms have very much improved since the original diagnosis last year. In regards to his game, well, he's been working hard with swing coach Butch Harmon, and of course he likes it here at YLI. He's also hoping for another good showing, which would kick off what he hopes to be a return to strong, consistent play. Lisa?
Todd, thanks again. Jimmy Walker, he has to have fond memories of this event for several reasons. One of those for being at the top of this list, the best cumulative score to par in the Sony Open the previous 5 years. He and Charles Howell III owned the best mark at 64 under par. You always hate to hear when anybody, Rosie, is dealing with off-course issues, this for Jimmy Walker being the health issue. Todd mentioned the Lyme disease. You spoke with Jimmy earlier this week. What did he say about his health and how he's doing?
Wrote my first column for Golf Channel on Jimmy, a notes column anyway, and he texted me back saying physically he's 80 to 90%. Mentally it's hard to say, and he listed kind of what Todd talked about, this Lyme fog that just basically envelops your brain. And whether it's leaving a pot of water on a stove and then leaving the house, or hitting a shot and having it end up halfway into the pond. And then as Butch said, Jimmy would have no memory of what he just did after he did it. So, a lot to overcome there, but talking to him in general spirits, physically he's gained 10 pounds back from being able to train again. Couldn't practice for 14 months, and all this happened coming off the PGA Championship win in 2016. So let's see how Jimmy does now when he's in between the ropes, and hopefully he can remember, how to swing a golf club still, which I'm sure he can.
No doubt. He's looking forward to getting back in the mix, too. Another player who has struggled a little bit lately has been Gary Woodland. And like Jimmy, those issues have been off the course. For Gary Woodland, dealing with that, it certainly makes sense. What's that story?
Well, Gary told me, I'm ready to turn the corner. It's been an emotional year for me, but a growing year for us, both on and off the golf course. And the growing part of it was, sadly, in March, he lost, his wife Gabby lost one of their 2 twins. And then in June, he celebrated the birth of his first son, Jackson. And, and over the January 1st holiday, he sat in his home down in South Florida in Delray Beach, they just couldn't wait until the calendar turned and it became 2018 again. But the golf part of it started with a meeting with Butch Harmon where Butch pulled him aside and said, look, you got to do better. You're too good of an athlete. You're kind of wasting some of your ability. And so Pete put him in touch with Butch Cowan. Pete Cowan, excuse me, the noted swing instructor from Europe and a short game guru. He started listening to Brad Faxon again up at Old Palm and taking some putting lessons for him. And overall, considering all he went through last year, both on the course and off, Gary told me that's as high as he's been going into a season. And Butch is high on him too. So let's see if he can get a lot more out of his game than he has thus far.
It'd be fun to watch them. Certainly a lot of people pulling for both those guys. Jimmy and Gary.
Great guys.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Jimmy and Gary looking to get back to the top of their game. Chantel's with Matt Adams on another player who is hoping to do the same very soon.
That's right. Well, Tiger Woods making a return in 2018, scheduled to play in the Farmers Insurance Open just a couple weeks away and at the Genesis Open at Riviera. And Matt, a lot of chatter about his ball speed with his new driver. What exactly did you find out about that?
I got some information just the other day from a source that told me that with his new driver, Tiger Woods is generating ball speed of 184 miles per hour. Now, we knew at the Bahamas that he was up to 180, but we're getting word now that it's 184 miles per hour. If we compare that to last year, that would have put him third on the PGA Tour. I like ball speed. I like smash factor even more because it takes into effect a lot of launch conditions, but it basically means that right now Tiger Woods, and they tend to hit harder when they're in testing than they do when they're playing, as you can imagine. But right now, Tiger is hitting it very well.
So hang on a second. That means that he's going to be keeping up this season when he returns to tour with guys that are 10 and more years younger than him.
He could be. That's the indication that we're getting right now, but it's early yet. Let's see how he does when he's actually out there playing, but it's a very good sign early on.
Impressive stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with his driver when Tiger Woods makes his return in just a couple of weeks. And coming up here on Golf Central, we talk much more about this young generation of players. We can't get enough about them. What about the 30-year-olds on the PGA Tour? Who would make your list at home for the top player in that age bracket? That's next. This is Golf Central.